Straight Talk with your host Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, alright here. Oh, Simply Straight Talk.
Hey, Simply Straight Talk family. Welcome to the Simply Straight Talk Show, where every topic is a hot topic, and hot topics are all about that real talk. Now here's your host, Reggie.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Simply Straight Talk Show. We are in season 10. Thank you everybody for your support, your continued support. Thank you for all the love. Now, let's get into today's show. Today, I want to talk about Deion Sanders and his impact on Hbcu sports. He is the head coach of Jackson State University football program. And I want to talk about that because I also want everyone to kind of understand that I'm seeing articles and YouTube videos, just different sports programs and different opinions and views about his presence. And I want to talk about that. And hopefully, in sharing this discussion, maybe I can get some people to see a different side of things and some people to be a little more open-minded. But I really want to discuss Deion Sanders' impact on HBCU sports. Now, for those of you who don't know who Deion Sanders is, he is a professional football player, professional baseball player. He played cornerback. He ran kickoff returns. He was one of the fastest men that played in the NFL, known for his cornerback skills, known for his defensive battles with offensive receiver Jerry Rice, who also graduated and went to the NFL coming from a historical black college. So that's why I want to talk about this today, but I really want to bring some light to why Deion Sanders is doing some of the things he's doing. And I want to address some of the negative things that I've seen out there, but I also want to affirm some of the positive things I've seen regarding Deion Sanders being the head coach at Jackson State University. When we talk about HBCUs, one thing we always talk about are the bands. And it goes without saying, everybody loves the HBCU bands. If you want to see a battle come out of exchange of words, then just say something about an HBCU band. Listen, I did an article about FAMU and how I thought FAMU, the Marching 100, the Rattlers, used to be the elite, the grand of grand when it came to bands, but they fell off, and I still stand by that. But this is not about bands, but I just say that to make this point that a lot of people were like, you don't know what you're talking about, FAMU for life. Hey, I still got love for FAMU, but you got to acknowledge the fact when it gets a little sloppy. Hey, come on now. But listen, this is about Deion Sanders and his impact on HBCU sports. Is it positive? Is it good? And we're going to have this discussion right now. Now, before I get into the modern day side of HBCU football, I got to update you because a lot of people really don't understand their history and why this conversation is so significant right now. So that's why we got to have this discussion, but I got to take you back a little bit because I got to give you some knowledge on HBCU football, okay? So bear with me for a little bit here because I want to educate you. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, but I just want you to understand HBCU football, where it came from to get to where it is. Now, the first game between HBCUs was played on December 27th. It was played on December 27th, 1892 between Biddle College and Livingston College. The game was played in the snows of North Carolina, and the game took place 2 days after Christmas. So that was the first HBCU football game to be played between Biddle College and Livingston College, December 27th, 1892. Okay? Now, the Livingston Bears were formally organized in the fall of 1892. The team members purchased a regulation football and uniforms. The players equipped their street shoes with cleats and taking them off after practice. So understand that They were not giving regular cleats made from manufacturers. They had to equip their own street shoes, the shoes they wore to school, with cleats. Now, another great thing to know about this is the young women of the school industrial department for the HBCUs actually made uniforms for the players for the first game. Both teams played 2 45-minute halves on Livingston College front lawn. Now, that was the first HBCU game to ever be played. Okay? Now, HBCU football was really strong in the South, but you got to tell the truth where the truth is the truth. The SEC, okay, the one that everybody celebrates now with Georgia, Florida, and all these other schools, Clemson and all that, okay, the SEC and other white schools like Alabama, Florida, and Texas did not want to feature black players. Now, the University of Georgia is a public land-grant research university with its main campus in Athens, Georgia. Now, it was founded in 1785, but its first black student was not allowed until 1971, 10 years after integration. Now, I'm telling you this because I want you to understand the history of HBCU football and how it got to where it is now. HBCU football players and their programs itself, it was ignored and it was undervalued. Nobody paid attention to it. Nobody. HBCU coaches like Jake Gaither of FAMU, who compiled a record of 204 wins and only 36 losses. His one-loss record is among the best of any college football coach. And we can't forget Eddie Robinson, who built Grambling State into a college football powerhouse. Now, Eddie Robinson retired in 1997 with a record of 408 wins and 165 losses. Now, these are two of the most well-known coaches in HBCU history, but they are rarely mentioned when it comes to discussing coaching legends in college football overall. When you talk about all of the colleges overall, these two coaches, their names rarely come up, okay? Because you always hear about the coaches from Notre Dame, you always hear about the coaches from Kentucky and Miami, but you rarely hear Eddie Robinson and Jake Gaither's name come up. And these two coaches had great records as college coaches. Now, here's what sort of changed things for HBCUs. In 1968, there was a game between Grambling University and Morgan State in Yankee Stadium with the attendance of 63,000 black people. 63,000 of us gathered to support these HBCUs. You understand what I'm saying? This was the first game for HBCU football that took center stage nationally for the world to see. The world saw the talent of historical black football programs and other schools, and then after that, they quickly began to go after the elite black players, leaving a negative stereotype and recruiting nightmare for historical black colleges. I wanted to share that with you. I wanted to give you a bit of history on HBCU football. You know, they didn't just walk on, have a program to where here's your uniform, here's your shoes, come on, let's go out, here's your field, here's your equipment. HBCUs have always had to work harder to maintain and even develop a football program, where other schools had this stuff already in place. As I told you about Livingston and Biddle College, when football was already being played by other colleges that was only white, these guys had to actually get cleats and turn their regular shoes into cleats. Now that you got a little bit of history, now there's a whole lot more history when it comes to HBCUs and HBCU football, their sports programs. But with that being said, I just wanted you to kind of understand where HBCUs are coming from. Because a lot of people really don't understand HBCUs. You know, they think that HBCUs are just party places. HBCUs are just places to hang out with kids and frat parties. No, it's not. HBCU's education is second to none. You can get one of the best educations from an HBCU. But let's get back to sports. When we're talking sports for the HBCUs, now we're jumping to the modern day time. Okay, I gave you a bit of history. Now let's move to modern day HBCU football. Like I said, the bands are all known for HBCUs, but the HBCU is divided into the SWAC and the MEAC, the Southwestern Atlantic Conference, and you had the Middle Eastern Atlantic Conference. I cannot talk today. But the teams listed in the SWAC are Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Jackson State, Mississippi Valley State, Alcorn State, UAPB, Prairie View A&M, Southern, Texas Southern, and Grambling. And recently, starting in 2021, Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M moved from the MEAC to the SWAC. Now, the MEAC teams consist of Delaware State Hornets, the Morgan State Bears, Norfolk State Spartans, Howard Bison, South Carolina State Bulldogs, North Carolina A&T Aggies, and the North Carolina Central Eagles. Now, HBCU football has produced some great NFL players. They produce players in other sports as well, but for right now, we're just going to talk about HBCUs. I'm sorry, football. Because when you think about Jerry Rice, you think about Walter Payton, these guys came from HBCUs. And you do realize that a lot of our great black athletes went to HBCUs because they could not get into other schools. Either back in the day, they were not being accepted. And then even now it's difficult. So HBCUs were the only ones saying, hey, come, we will give you an education and you can play sports. So that is a bit of history when it comes to HBCU programs. Now you know about the SWAC, you know the teams in the SWAC, the teams in the MEAC. You know about the history of the first game that took place. You know about the game that really put HBCU football players in the national spotlight, which was the game between Morgan State and Grambling University. For those of you who don't know, Morgan State did win that game. But what happened when they started taking the elite black players from the historical black colleges, which were primarily in the South, it really did hurt the recruiting efforts because black students begin to say, well, the only way to really get into professional sports was you had to go to a predominantly white school because HBCUs were not being broadcasted on TV. They were not being publicized. Even today, it is very difficult to see an HBCU on TV. And we're going to talk about that a little later because they just don't publicize HBCU games. Even when HBCU games are being played, they don't promote them. They don't advertise them. It's like you may accidentally come across it. And when you do come across it, it's the lowest quality you can find on TV. So with that being said, we're going to take a little bit of a break. Now that I brought you up to date on HBCU football history, let's talk modern day football. Let's talk Deion Sanders right now coaching the Jackson State University Tigers. And we'll be right back with more of the Simply Straight Talk Show.
Don't even think about it. We got more straight talk just for you.
Hey, are you looking for some great music, upbeat and with a positive voice? Well, the song I Stand With You is exactly what you need. This timeless song has a pop version sung by Audrey Carmel. And a reggae version sung by General Steele, now known as Revelation.
Now I know some days you may feel blue, Lord. Trust in your greatness to see you through.
These songs are now available on iTunes and other digital platforms for download. Don't miss out. Get your copy today.
Give life your best and I know.
You're listening to the Simply Straight Talk Show, bringing you the best conversation on your morning, afternoon, and primetime drive.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the second part of today's show. Man, today we're talking about Deion Sanders and his impact on HBCU football, HBCU sports. Now, we all know that Deion Sanders, as we said earlier, was now the head coach of Jackson State University, home of the Sonic Boom. But with that being said, man, there's more that we have to talk about, more that we have to try to really understand about this thing. Deion Sanders becoming the head coach of a historical black college makes a big difference. And I want to start off by telling you some of the things that he has already spoken about and a major deal that he has already been a part of, a major part of, to get accomplished regarding HBCUs. Number one, Deion Sanders has been screaming to ESPN that HBCU sports deserve its due, that it deserves to be on TV. He's been crying out for more TV time, more TV coverage. And to be honest with you, I've seen more HBCU games in better TV quality since Deion Sanders has taken over as head coach of Jackson State University. Now, they have been on TV, I want to say twice I've seen them on TV. No, 3 times. 3 times I've seen them on TV, which is something that I have not seen, because normally they will fill it with anything other than an HBCU football game. They'll find any sport to put on TV. If they created a sport called mud box racing, they would put that on TV before HBCU football game. But here's the thing about it. He's been really pushing for Sports Network to acknowledge HBCU programs, more TV time for HBCU programs. And here's the thing. He's not just talking about Jackson State University. He's talking about all HBCUs. And that, to be honest, is something that I was kind of wondering, that when he went into Jackson State, was this going to be about Deion Sanders prime time, or was this going to be about HBCU as a whole? Athletic programs, was this going to be about HBCU as a whole? And clearly, he is making a point that Deion Sanders is looking out for all HBCUs. And just in the past 3 games that I've seen with Jackson State University being on TV, it is very clear that people are now getting to see some of these talented players, like Glass with Alabama A&M. And then you got Ezra Gray. Oh my God, Ezra Gray. This dude is a monster. Okay, a monster. Then you got to see Southern University play. So you're getting to see some quality players that will be in the NFL when most of the time people would not even watch these games. These kids are now getting their time on television. They're getting their time on television. But this is just the spring. What happens when it comes to fall? Are these sports networks going to say, listen, you guys are only good enough for the spring because we're not showing football from the other Division I schools, the big schools that's, the predominantly white schools? Are they going to abandon the HBCUs? See, that's the question right now. That is the question that's going to have to come up. And that's only going to show when it comes to the fall. Now, the other thing that he's been talking about is better athletic facilities for HBCU programs. When it comes to money that's split up by the NCAA and divided up among the schools, HBCUs are at the bottom. When you see the number for what other schools can give it and compared to HBCUs as a whole, HBCUs are at the bottom of that. So he's asking for better athletic facilities, equipment, because HBCUs are just not considered at the top when it comes to that. Another thing he did. Now, this is something that I'm really impressed by. Deion Sanders has been working with Pepsi since the 90s. He was a part of a major swag deal that includes signage, naming rights, logo displays, digital elements, promotional activities, in addition to supplying products to HBCU sports. Okay? And this agreement also involves internships, and full-time positions in areas that include sales, supply chains, operations, and functions across Pepsi's entire corporate landscape. This is opening the doors for young students who attend HBCUs. Do you understand that? This is not opening up a sports avenue. He's opening up the corporate job market for students in HBCU programs. This is what I'm talking about. This is a man that he is putting his time in. So this is not about money right now. And a lot of people think that the only way to support is money. Deion Sanders is using his name. He's using his network capabilities to get things done. This is what I'm talking about. Think of the young men and women who are leaving these colleges that may end up working for Pepsi, who may end up being vice presidents. These kids are getting internships with a major company. Pepsi is a big game player. Now, here's the thing. I got to ask this. Why is it that now there's finally getting an HBCU? Why are HBCUs just now getting a beverage company to be the provider? I don't understand that. I really don't. That I don't understand. Because anytime you have major sporting events like HBCU games, you want to have your advertisement there because that's money for these corporations. That means they're making money. That means they're selling your drinks, your products, they're moving. So for Pepsi to become the drink for HBCUs, that's huge. That is huge. So you got to recognize that. You got to give Deion Sanders credit for that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I was all on Deion Sanders' bandwagon when he started this. Now, I have always respected Deion Sanders for his gameplay ability. I always have. His business savvy. I've always respected him for that. Now, he did get on my nerves sometimes because Deion Sanders is the type of person that if he says it, if he thinks it, he's going to say it. You know what I'm saying? Deion Sanders speaks what's on his mind. And you may not like how he say it or what he says. You may not believe exactly what he says, but he speaks what's on his mind. And this is what HBCUs needed. This is what they needed. Is he the first NFL player to go back to an HBCU and coach? No, he's not. He is absolutely not. But here's what makes Deion Sanders stand out from other people that have left the NFL, retired or whatever, and went to coach at the HBCU. Remember, Doug Williams was a black quarterback that won the Super Bowl with the Washington Redskins, which they did him wrong, by the way. And after he left the Super Bowl, he went and he coached Grambling because Washington let him go. But here's the thing. Here's the difference. Here's what makes Deion Sanders different than the other people that went in to coach HBCU programs. Deion Sanders did not go in with the mentality of, I'm just going to go in and coach. Everything else is on everybody else. That's how many of the coaches went in when they coached HBCU programs after leaving the NFL. They went in quiet. Yes, I'm here. Okay, I'm here. I'm going to coach. And that's what they did. Deion Sanders is doing more than saying, hey, I'm just going to go coach the team. Deion Sanders is trying to speak up for HBCUs. This man is putting a lot of weight on his back outside of coaching. He's also trying to put fans in those stands to come see those young kids play. He's trying to change the mentality of how they see themselves. Because just think about it. Whenever an HBCU plays a school like Notre Dame, like some of the big schools, Notre Dame, Florida State, South Carolina, Clemson, LSU, if they play a school like that, even a school like Duke or Harvard, Those are called, it's like a pickup game. In those schools, now they do pay those colleges to come play them, but it's with the mindset of, listen, yeah, we'll give y'all a little money to come play us because I need to give my guys a little motivation. So I need them to beat up on you guys and get them a little confidence before we go start playing these other big schools who we really consider to be a challenge. Deion Sanders is trying to change that mindset because he is trying to make it so the HBCUs are not just regular, everyday teams that feel like, we have to play small, we have to think small. He wants them to believe themselves. He wants them to believe that they can get out there and compete with any school there is. And we haven't heard a coach out there in HBCUs teaching that. They taught, you can get out here and compete against each other. But to get these kids in the mindset, you can compete against Georgia. You can compete against LSU. You can compete against Clemson. That's what Deion Sanders is trying to build. Not only that, he has one of the highest ranking recruiting classes for an HBCU ever. This man is doing things that most people who have went inside an HBCU have not put forth the effort to do. Most people just went back and said, I'm going to work with what I got and what I can get. Deion Sanders says, I know what we got, but if I can get better, I'm going to get it. And this is what he's doing. His presence has brought a lot of media. And some people say, is Deion Sanders going to be a media distraction? You know what? It's a media distraction that's drawing attention to HBCU programs. And I love the fact that he's doing it in a positive way. He's not making it so it's all about him. It's not all about prime time. It's all about HBCUs. I have yet to hear him badmouth any other HBCU program. Even when his team has lost, he has still acknowledged and been respectful of the team he's played against. I understand some other teams in the HBCU, teams maybe like Grambling, maybe like Southern, Alcorn State, who's won the championship for the past couple of years, may feel like we've been here this whole time and nobody's acknowledged us. We're not getting game time, but yet Deion Sanders comes and he takes over a team 1 year. All of a sudden, his team is on TV. Well, you got to understand this. I totally agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with it. I agree with it. I think Alcorn State has not gotten its due as a football program. And by no means has Alcorn State been given the credit that it deserves as a football program. Grambling State as one of the, aristocrats of football, or the football program under Coach Eddie Robinson. But the thing about it is this. You got to take what Deion Sanders is bringing and work with him. Because right now, because he's there, he's bringing the spotlight. He's bringing the spotlight to places it needs to be deserved. Now, because it is Deion Sanders, everybody is going to want, TV stations are now going to want to flock to see how he does, which is putting a target on his back, more pressure. Because you got people out there who want to see Deion Sanders fail. They want him to have a losing season. They do. Let's face it, let's be real about it. They don't want him to fail. They don't want HBCUs to be competitive outside of the SWAC and the MEAC. That's where they want them to stay. They don't want them to get on the big stage like the Chick-fil-A Bowl or the National Championship and get in there and win something like that. They'll lose their minds. But the thing about it is, Deion Sanders is now bringing the spotlight to HBCU programs. So now Alcorn State is going to get a chance to show themselves on TV and people can see how great of a team they are. They're going to see these great coaching staffs. This is why we need to support our HBCUs and the effort that's being made, because this is not about Deion Sanders. And I love the fact he's not making it about him. This is about the young men and women who attend these HBCUs in these programs who are not being given the credit they deserve for their athletic abilities. They are being totally discarded. They're being undervalued. And we need to help him in recognizing these young people. So I understand how some of the coaches, now I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying that I can see me personally feeling that some of them could feel like he's getting more attention and we've been here all this time. That's not what it's about. Deion Sanders is bringing something to the HBCUs that's well needed and that's long overdue. And he's bringing that attention. He's bringing that attention. Now, Jackson State University, like I said, they got a target on their back. Everybody want to beat them because it's Deion Sanders, and people are more like Dion. So right now they are 3-3. They lost to Alabama A&M 43-52. They lost to Southern University 34-14. They lost to Alabama State 28-35. And the main reason I tell people, who say like, man, Jackson State losing, they start off 3-0, now they losing. You got to realize something. This is the first year he's had these kids under his wing. So this is a good time to be able to, this is his time to evaluate and see what he got. And the other thing is, Deion Sanders now, he's being able to see these kids, how they operate when they get behind the ball. It's easy you can't really evaluate a team when they're winning and blowing everybody out. It's when they're losing and you see how do they respond? How do they cope with communicating with each other? How do they deal with recovering from a blown play? And those are the things he's getting to evaluate now. How do they respond to it? He has to learn how to motivate these kids because everybody is motivated differently. And now he's getting a chance to figure out, how do I motivate this one? How do I motivate that one? How do I motivate the whole unit? How do I get the unit to motivate each other? Not only when we're on the sideline, but when they on the field. He's now being able to figure out who's stronger in this position, who's stronger in that position, who's the best strong safety, who's the best linebacker, who's the best cornerback. What defensive scheme works better for them? What offensive scheme works better for them? Like what quarterback has the best passing? What quarterback has the best running? Do I have an all-around quarterback or do I have to have a quarterback system where I got to alternate? So these are the things that Deion Sanders is getting a chance to evaluate. So the fact that they are 3-3 right now for spring football, to me, this is completely an analyzing time for Deion Sanders and his coaching staff. That's what it is. This is getting them ready for the fall. That's what this time is for. It's not about championship. It's getting ready for the fall to where they can pull things out and see how they can bring things together. So Deion Sanders is a good impact on the NFL. And now it was just released that Eddie George is looking at being the head coach of Tennessee State University. So the more we get of our NFL players who played in the NFL to come back and help the HBCUs, give them that extra knowledge, that extra insight. Because to see that you got somebody like Deion Sanders and Eddie George, Hall of Fame football players coming back and saying, listen, you can be there too, that speaks volume. It speaks volume. And I applaud Deion Sanders. Like I said, he didn't play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's my issue with him. But the thing about it is, the fact that Deion Sanders is giving more than this is not just money for him. Yes, he's making money off of this deal. Of course, he's going to get paid. But he's not the highest paid coach in the FPS or in the NCAA by any means. Trust me, Deion Sanders is not making that Georgia and all them type money. Trust me. He has some incentives, but it's things that he has to deliver on to get it. But Deion Sanders is working hard, and I like the fact that he's not making it all about money. He's making it about networking, getting the recognition, getting these programs at the level where they should be, making young recruits say, you know what, I can go to an HBCU and still go to the NFL, or I can still pay Pro Bowl. I can go to an HBCU and get internships, get a job offer. I can work with a major corporation like Pepsi. So he's opening doors in a variety of ways to help these young kids. So this is not just about on the field. This is about life. And the whole concept of, I believe, like he changed the jersey colors. He made some real differences in this program to get them in a new mindset. He has. So you got to give a man credit for what he's doing. All right, y'all, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with the final thoughts of today's show.
We'll be back with your host, Reggie, on Simply Straight Talk.
Are Am Viaging is a company based on life's journey and sharing life lessons with the world in the form of laughter and reflection, inspiring people to go after their dreams and not giving up on life. RM Viaging creates inspirational music and motivational speeches designed to motivate all age groups. Visit our website at www.rmviaging.com to hear samples of our music. You will also find motivational articles on our blog page titled New Life, New Mind Blog. We also have a weekly podcast hosted by Reggie called Simply Straight Talk, all on our website at www.rmviaging.com.
Are you ready for the straight truth? Reggie, what's the final word for today?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the final thoughts of today's show. Today we talked about Deion Sanders and his impact on HBCU sports. Now I know he's a head coach of a football team, but what he's doing is going to affect HBCU programs in all aspects of the athletic departments for HBCU sports. And one thing I want to say, this may seem like it was a applaud to Deion Sanders, recognize Deion Sanders, salute to Deion Sanders. But the truth is, for what he has done in the short time that he has been there, the man deserves a salute. He deserves some respect. This man has created a 3-year deal with Pepsi that's going to guarantee jobs and opportunities for young students coming out of HBCUs, internships and full-time jobs in different departments worldwide across the Pepsi Corporation. Pepsi is now the official drink of HBCU. So you got to acknowledge that for this man to come in and do this to where it wasn't already in place, you got to give him credit for that. Because for Pepsi just now to be the official drink, shout out to Pepsi, much respect. You got to give them credit, man, for doing that and taking that up. Because you didn't hear no other soda company out there doing it, the beverage company. So shout out to Pepsi, man. Give Pepsi some credit. Also, you got to recognize the fact that Deion Sanders is proving that the way you support people is not always by money. He is giving his time. He's using his network capabilities, his negotiation skills to help bring more notoriety, more attention to the HBCU programs across the board. So this is just not about Jackson State University. Yes, he wants to have a winning program. Yes, he wants the Jackson State University football program to succeed. But he understands that for it to succeed means that HBCUs succeed. So this is why I say Deion Sanders' impact on HBCU programs is absolutely positive. You may not like the attention. If you're jealous, that's your business. But put all that aside and recognize the fact that we're getting more HBCU games on TV. We're able to see more of these young kids' talent showcased. More of these young men and women who are a part of the band programs now being showcased on TV. Many of you never heard of most of the HBCUs I named earlier when I listed teams in the SWAC and MEAC. You didn't think about them. Because most of the HBCU teams are on the East Coast. Now the West Coast is getting a chance to see some of the HBCU programs. This is going to bring more attention to where there's more opportunities academically, more opportunities career-wise, and more opportunities for these young kids to get the right training to go into the pros. He's not teaching these kids how to play football for a day and how to win one game. Deion Sanders is teaching them how to win in life, how to go out there and get what you deserve, earn what you want. He's teaching them not to be ashamed to be winners, but to believe in themselves. So you got to give a man credit for what he's doing. Hey, y'all, let's go out and support our HBCUs. And I'm not asking you to send millions of dollars. If you got it, hey, do it. But, if you want to help a young kid go to scholarship, there are programs online. You can go to the RM Viaging, which is my website, rmviagem.com, and you can click on the box that says HBCU support, and you can donate whatever you want to help pay for a kid's college scholarship. You can contribute to a scholarship. You can contribute to a certain university, or you can just do a general contribution. So make sure you do that, man. If you don't want to contribute money that way, hey, go to a game. You'll be surprised what you can do by just all of us getting together and going to a game that's in our community. If you're in a state or a city where a HBCU game is being played and you're visiting, make part of your trip to go visit an HBCU game. You're going to love it, man. You're going to love it. Football, basketball, tennis. HBCU has these programs, and you can be a part of it. You can be a part of it. See the halftime shows. See the band battles, the 0 quarter, the 5th quarter. If you want to know what the 0 quarter is and the 5th quarter, go to an HBCU football game and find out. But go enjoy the games. Go show your support. Watch the dance teams, the flag corps, the drum lines, the drum majors. Check it out, man. Let's support these kids. You'll be surprised what your voice can do just cheering for them while they're on that field. When they come out of those locker rooms, when they go in for halftime, come out from halftime. When the band comes out, cheer. When the football team comes out, cheer. Let them know they got some support. All right? Hey, this is Reggie, man. Thank you for tuning in to the Simply Straight Talk Show. And I will see you guys next week as we're back on our regular schedule. Every Friday, tune in for another episode of the Simply Straight Talk Show. Deion Sanders, respect, baby. And I believe.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Straight Talk Show with Reggie Maddox. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our podcast to your friends and colleagues. And please leave us a positive review on iTunes. Be sure to check out our archive section on iTunes, Spotify, Libsyn, and YouTube. Join us next time for another edition of the Simply Straight Talk Show.